Alright, you guys, and welcome back to another brand new video. It is your boy Tornadoes Man, and I am back with another video. In today's video, we are checking out the final tornado that was rated F5 on the Fujita scale before the new scale was made, which was the enhanced Fujita scale. This is the 2007 Elie tornado. This tornado was formed on June 22nd, 2007 at 6:25 p.m. and dissipated June 22nd, 2007 at 7 p.m. This tornado was rated 35 minutes. I feel like I did a video on this tornado already, but
What did you cry?
no, you know you're not having my phone. I don't even know why you asked that question. I feel like I did a video on this tornado already, but this time, because if I did, I want to make sure that I check. You know, because we are on season 7, and there are 2 more episodes to season 7. So I have to check to make sure that I did make a video about this particular F5 tornado, knowing that I probably did make the video but just don't remember. So I'm just trying to make sure so that way I would know if I did do a video on it or not, because it was one of the last F5s from 2007. So no, I have not did a video on this tornado, but perhaps I had did a and guys, we just uploaded a new video. It is a whole entire movie of the 1992 it's a whole movie of the 1992 Chandler Lake Wilson F5 tornado. So yeah guys, so the destruction of this tornado was 35 minutes on the Fujita scale. Highest winds were 261 miles per hour. The damage was 39 million to 57.4 million in 2025, but this was in 2007, so that would have been 2007 United States dollars.
No, I did it.
This was part of the 2007 Southern tornado outbreak and tornadoes of 2007, which, if I decide, I will go back and cover tornadoes of 2007 just to see if this tornado was one of the dangerous.
The 2007 Elie tornado was a small but extremely powerful and erratic tornado that occurred in Manitoba, Canada during the evening hours of Friday, June 22nd, 2007. The powerful F5 tornado that struck the town of Elie, 40 kilometers, 25 miles, west of Winnipeg, is known for its unusual path, behavior, its rope-to-cone structure, as opposed to a wedge structure, and how unique it is compared to other F5/EF5 tornadoes. 1. 3. It was part of a small 2-day tornado outbreak that occurred in the southern Manitoba region, which featured other significant F2+ tornadoes. The tornado reached a maximum width of 150 yards, 140 meters, and had a path length of about 6 kilometers, 3.7 miles. It was unusual because it caused extreme damage during its roping out stage at a mere 35 yards, 32 meters, in width, all while moving extremely slowly and unpredictably. The tornado tracked primarily southeast, as opposed to the usual northeasterly motion of tornadoes, and it made multiple loops and sharp turns. 4, 5. While several houses were leveled, no one was injured or killed by the tornado. A well-built, anchored home in Elie was swept off of its foundation, with the entire house being lofted by the tornado and disintegrated midair, justifying an F5 rating. One of the strongest twisters in the modern era, it is one of only 11 to be rated F5/EF5 since the 1999 Bridge Creekmore tornado. Damage costs were estimated at $39 million, $56.1 million in 2024. Citation needed. As of 2026, this is the most recent tornado to be rated F5 on the Fujita scale, as the United States had switched to using the enhanced Fujita scale earlier that year, followed by Canada in 2013. 6, 7, better source needed. Meteorological synopsis. Edit. Elie tornado radar CXWL scan as it hit the town of Elie. Radar image of the group of storms that produced the tornado. Prior to the event, 1200 UTC 500 MB mesoscale analysis revealed the presence of a building upper ridge over the southern prairies region of Canada, specifically in the southern Alberta and Saskatchewan regions, with a minor shortwave trough accompanying this ridge over Alberta. A thermal ridge was also noted in the southern Saskatchewan area, preventing storm formation and increasing heating in the upper atmosphere. Winds contained within a jet max at 800 hectopascals reached 10 to 15 ms superscript 1, 22 to 34 miles per hour, as they rounded the western half of a high-pressure ridge situated over the high plains. This intense jet stream continually advected moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, allowing any developing storms to have access to large amounts of inflow. The directional and magnitudinal change of wind with height, known as wind shear, was also observed during this time, further contributing to an environment favorable for storm development. 8. At the surface, multiple disconnected lows were present, with one surface low over southern Saskatchewan featuring a warm front that extended to the east into the Interlake region of the province of Manitoba. Due to this low, warm temperatures and high dew point values were advected into the region, increasing instability in the atmosphere. By 1800 UTC, this surface low had moved east and positioned itself directly over Dauphin Lake, with surrounding temperatures reaching 26 to 28 degrees Celsius, 79 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and dew points skyrocketing to 18 to 20 degrees Celsius, 64 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. At this time, a significant elevated mixed layer, EML, remained over the area, preventing convection and storm activity, but allowing for instability to continue to rise. By 2100 UTC, the area of low pressure had finally migrated to the southern basin of Lake Manitoba and remained quasi-stationary for hours, with the Elie tornado initiating off of a dry line ahead of a cold front that extended from the low. It is noted that a cold pool and gravity waves may have affected the development of both the Elie tornado as well as other tornadoes in the surrounding area. 8. Tornado summary. Edit. Funnel cloud that would produce the Elie tornado.
I'm gonna call you back in there when I wake up. I don't want to hear that TV. No, I'm gonna be right there with TV is watching the TV.
The tornado initially touched down north of the Trans-Canada Highway at around 6:25 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 23:25 Universal Time Coordinated, 9, and slowly moved southeast, where it picked up and overturned a semi-trailer and a tractor-trailer. The tornado gradually turned east, took a sharp turn south, and then took another sharp turn east, all within roughly 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers. The tornado made another turn south and made an extremely slow loop over the town's flour mill at F2 intensity, causing over $1 million in damage. Multiple semi-trucks were overturned and damaged, and building walls buckled inward. At this point, the tornado was producing F1 to F2 level damage and had grown to a width of 50 meters, 55 yards. From there, it headed south parallel to Jansen Road at F0 intensity. It also continued to grow in width, reaching its peak width of about 140 meters, 153 yards. After reaching the intersection of Jansen Road and Road 61 North, the tornado turned east directly towards the southwest edge of Elie. It quickly intensified to F4 strength while it made a loop over Elie Street, as it began to severely damage multiple homes along the street. One of these homes, which was described as well-built and bolted to its foundation, was completely removed from its foundation and lofted into the air by the tornado, where it then collapsed into pieces as it was thrown around the tornado's funnel, justifying F5 intensity. The tornado also sheared some sill plates from this home and snapped off the bolts that supported these sill plates, for trees were debarked as well. 2 other houses sustained F4 level damage, with both of them being almost completely swept from their foundations. One other house to the west also sustained F2, F3 level damage, with the entire roof torn off and multiple exterior walls collapsed. The tornado also flipped and threw multiple cars, including a car that was tossed over 100 meters and even tossed one homeowner's Chrysler Fifth Avenue onto a neighbor's roof. 10:11, the tornado lingered over this area of Elie for approximately 4 minutes before it exited Elie to the southwest and rapidly dissipated. 4. Path of the tornado, showing sporadic loops and turns. The tornado traveled about 6 kilometers, 3.7 miles, and was 150 yards, 140 meters, wide at its widest during its 35-minute lifespan. The tornado repeatedly struck the same area of town, destroying most of the structures and vehicles in the area. A video of the tornado shows an entire 2-story home being wiped off of its foundation and tossed 75 feet, 23 meters, in the air before rotating around the tornado and then being destroyed. Also seen on the video was a 3/4 of a ton, 1,500 lb, GM van filled with drywall that was lofted by the tornado and tossed hundreds of feet. At least 3 houses are seen being destroyed on the video, along with many more structures and vehicles being damaged. In other videos, the flour mill in Elie is also shown being damaged by the tornado, with bins and roofs being destroyed. 12. Aftermath. Edit. F5 damage to a well-built home in Elie. Since residents in Elie were prepared and took the necessary precautions during the event, there were no injuries or deaths reported. The following day, Environment Canada sent out a storm damage survey team from the Prairie and Arctic Storm Prediction Center to assess the damage caused by the tornado. On September 18, 2007, the tornado was upgraded to F5 on the Fujita scale from the original F4 rating based on video analysis of the tornado and reassessment of the damage. 3. This was the first tornado in Canada to be officially rated as such, making it the strongest confirmed tornado in Canadian history. It was one of only 2 F5/EF5 tornadoes that year, the other being a large and destructive EF5 tornado that struck Greensburg, Kansas on May 4th. And it is one of only 11 tornadoes to be rated F5/EF5 since the 1999 Bridge Creekmore tornado. At the time, Canada had not adopted the enhanced Fujita scale. 13. F4 versus F5 rating. Edit. See also disagreements on the intensity of tornadoes. In 2008, at the American Meteorological Society's 24th Conference on Severe Local Storms, Patrick J. McCarthy, along with D. Carlson and J. Slypeck, submitted a paper for and hosted a presentation on the Elie tornado. 14. At the conference, it was discussed that some of the damage did point to an F5 rating. However, the survey team was concerned that the tornado was weaker than F5 strength and only caused the extreme damage due to moving slowly, where it could have relentlessly pounded the houses into a higher level of destruction. 14. After further investigation using video evidence captured by those watching the tornado, the surveyors determined that the structural failures were quick. The structural assessments indicated that the homes were well built and generally well secured. In particular, one of the destroyed homes met all of the requirements for the highest damage rating. 14. The team also noted that the damage would have qualified for an EF5 rating on the enhanced Fujita scale, which was in use in the United States at the time. 15. Significance. Edit. The Elie tornado was also significant due to its appearance at F5 intensity, where it was reaching the end of its lifespan and was in its roping out/decaying stage. Some meteorologists suggest that the extreme intensity of the tornado was a result of the rapid implosion of the tornado's wind field, which caused it to quickly accelerate for a brief period of time. 4. This theory aligns with the physical principle of conservation of angular momentum, where a constricted radius results in acceleration. This is similar to a figure skater pulling in his or her arms to spin more quickly.
Alright, well these are technically the other tornadoes that touched down in addition to the F5 tornado. It at least spawned 2 F3s. F3 northwest of Pinestone and Oakville. Oh, and another F3. Ooh. So speaking of another tornado, this was the Oakville, Manitoba F3. It formed at 6:55 p.m. Dissipated is unknown, and the destruction is unknown.
Give me them 2 bottles over there too. No, give me up. I know, give me up.
Oakville, Manitoba. Edit. Oakville, Manitoba. The Oakville tornado, meteorological history, formed June 22nd, 2007. Dissipated. Unknown. Duration. Unknown. F3 tornado. On the Fujita scale. Max width. 200 meters, 0.124 miles. 219 yards. Path length. 10.0 kilometers, 6.2 miles. Highest winds. 158 to 206 miles per hour. 254 to 332 kilometers per hour. Overall effects. Casualties. None. Areas affected. Oakville, Manitoba, and Fanistel, Manitoba, Canada. Part of the tornadoes of 2007. Oakfield Tornado Radar CXWL scan as it started forming. At approximately 6:55 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 23:55 Universal Time Coordinated, as the Elie tornado was ongoing, a separate storm system produced this slender but intense tornado around 12 miles, 19 kilometers, to the west of Elie, south of the farming community of Oakville, Manitoba. This tornado took a winding path towards the southeast, exhibiting erratic, looping movements, similar to the Elie tornado. Throughout its short path, no injuries or deaths were reported, but the tornado caused sizable damage to vegetation, namely to trees and crops. Severe instances of structural damage were also noted, such as the collapse of a frame home near Oakville, an old farmhouse being obliterated to its foundation, the destruction of multiple outbuildings, including a Quonset, and the destruction of grain bins and farm machinery at multiple farm sites. 22. Because the view to the Elie and Oakville tornadoes was unobstructed, multiple witnesses, specifically those along the Trans-Canada Highway, were able to see both tornadoes on the ground simultaneously, making for a rare event. Many photographs exist that show both the Elie and Oakville tornadoes from the same vantage point. 23. The Oakville tornado made contact with the ground at 6:55 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 2,355 UTC, approximately 15.4 kilometers, 9.6 miles, south of the community of Oakville. From then, it proceeded to impact a series of farmsteads in rural areas south of the Trans-Canada Highway, causing considerable damage in the process. Several outbuildings were clipped or otherwise destroyed along the tornado's 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles, path. Grain storage bins were reportedly crushed and thrown, and multiple farmsteads and frame homes suffered complete collapse. Per the Northern Tornadoes Project 2024, East PNR records indicated that the F3 rating of the Oakville tornado was based on the complete destruction and sweeping of an old farmhouse, with shearing and debarking of hardwood trees noted at the site. Sources also indicate that a Quonset hut, a very common site in rural southern Manitoba, mainly used for agricultural purposes, was destroyed and heavy farm machinery was tossed and damaged. Witness photographs of the damage from the tornado also confirm that multiple wooden power lines were downed. A frame house collapsed in on itself with few interior walls remaining upright and rows of. Shelterbelt trees were shredded, debarked, and occasionally sheared to ground level. Aerial imagery from after the tornado also shows the possible disappearance of vegetation around the affected areas. 22. Significant damage to a line of shelterbelt trees from the Oakville tornado. It is suspected that the tornado dissipated shortly afterwards, at around 0010 UTC June 23rd, 7:10 p.m. Central Daylight Time June 22nd, per radar imagery, though a specific dissipation time is not available. 8. The tornado reached a maximum documented width of 200 meters, 0.12 miles, and carved an erratic, winding path 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles, long through areas near Oakville and Fanistel, Manitoba. 24. The tornado caused no casualties due to its rural impact, but did cause significant structural and contextual damage. Based on the previously mentioned destruction of an old farmhouse, the tornado reached estimated winds up to 158 to 206 miles per hour, 254 to 332 kilometers per hour. 22.
All right, you guys, and that is it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified every single time Tornadoes Man posts another video. Peace.